Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Peak number 15 with Particle Fields and Jordan Michael Francis. So, before we get started, want you to say hello to our artists. We'll be starting up. And it's been a fun month already in October, of course, with everybody. Been a lot of fun. We're all looking forward to an interesting Halloween coming up. But before all that happens, we're going to have some really great music for you tonight. And we're going to have got some good beats going on and some really good melodies to calm you down a little afterwards. And after our performances, we're going to have a group interview with both artists where you can ask questions on YouTube and Twitch, and I'll be able to answer any of those questions that come through the feed. So say hello, everyone, to our wonderful guests.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hello.
Hey, Jordan and Yoan, it's really great to have you guys on Peaked. Thank you so much for coming up on the show here.
What's up?
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Jordan and Yoan, it's really great to have you guys on Peaked. Thank you so much. Great. Now let's get into the music. We're going to start our evening out with Particle Fields and then going into Jordan Michael Francis.
Let's do this.
Thank you, Particle Fields. Everyone, give us a nice virtual clap for Particle Fields. That was great. Dylan, thank you so much for that performance, man. That was really fun. Where's your microphone?
That was fun.
Yeah. We'll get to do a full interview in depth on your set after Jordan's performance. And again, man, that was really fun. Everyone was grooving it at home. I turned my monitors up so I could blast my neighbors up, make sure they're still awake on this nice Wednesday
Sorry,
night.
neighbors.
It'll be
Thanks,
all
man.
right. It'll be all right. We got a great response. We're gonna have some great. We're gonna got some great questions lined up for you about your set from a lot of
For
people
sure.
online right now, man. A lot of fun.
I can't wait.
So, Jordan, how you doing over there? Oh. And might be losing you, Jordan. Don't hear you. We can
Do you hear me now?
yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, nice and crunchy.
We might be having a sound issue then, but I'm gonna switch out my camera. Give me 1 second so you can look at my gear.
Okay. The audio
hang
sounds good,
on.
man. We can hear you just fine.
Great.
While we're waiting for Jordan to get all set, I want to say thank you to Carson Stealing, Feds Audio, Lamella Williams, New Systems Audio, and I'm sorry, New Systems Instruments. Sorry, Evan. Ryan, thanks for joining us tonight. Dave, thanks for seeing you on here, man. Sensor Music, Sam Parkin, and we've got Malarkey on here. All That's Gone, Alex Barnett. Who else do we have watching the stream right now? Deborah Lee, thanks for joining us. L. Nasty Butler, thank you everyone for coming on. This is really good to see some new people on here. It's always great to see that the community is expanding. James Chiang, thanks for showing up. That's great. Frank Martin, I saw you on here earlier. Thanks for coming in. Good to see you always. Yeah, we've got a good group of people watching tonight. And my buddy Roberto, one of my coworkers, he's watching right now. Good to see you, brother. And Jordan, how you doing over there? Looks like you're almost ready.
Yeah, I'm ready when you guys are. Ready?
Everyone, please get ready for our second artist tonight, Jordan Michael Francis. We're going to have some nice mellow tunes. That was great. Everyone give us a nice digital clap for Jordan Michael Francis. That was such a great set. And in a few minutes, we're going to have both of our artists back online, and we're going to have a nice little interview with everybody today. Hi, Jordan. Good to see you back. Thanks again for that set, man. That was really fun. And check your mic. Make sure you put your sound on there. Thanks for coming back. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
can you guys hear me?
Now we hear you, Jordan. Very
Cool.
good. And Yohan, check your mic.
Check.
Good. Yohan, see if we can get your mic up a little higher, but other than that, we can hear you just fine.
Check.
And Yohan, sounds like we've got some background noise. Oh, it sounds like you got it. So that sounds better. Excellent. Wow, guys, thanks again for playing tonight. I really appreciate you playing Piqued.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course.
All right.
So, and everyone here, there's some great applause going on, really great reactions. We've got some new people showing up on here. My boy Roberto, of course, and his son Saul. So, what's up, little man? Hope you're playing still. I gave that guy some cool instruments about a year or so ago. Hope you're still playing, man. Maybe I'll have you on beat sometime. But Jordan and Yohan, thank you again, man. This is really great. Now we've got some wonderful questions for you, and I want to go about this, and we'll go a little back and forth between the both of you, so we can field questions between the two of you, so that neither of you are left out. So let's start out with a question for Yohan. On your set, tell us about your setup tonight. We'd like to know a little bit more about your synthesizers and everything you were using tonight.
Sure. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the drum system is an Erica synth, which is right here. I don't have zooming ability right now, so I'm just gonna shine a light on it.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So it's pretty much the best drum machine I put my hands on. I've tried so many. I really like the Tempest in the past for its dynamic abilities. And I guess this one really rocks. And can you hear me better now? Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds better.
Okay, cool. yeah, you can really just like tweak every single detail. Some drum machines, you have to kind of like remember a lot of things that are not visible, and this one's just like all knobs. And I guess I'm really into having no screens and just all tactile touch. So that one really works well. Um, and the other synths I'm using, another one is right here, and that's the Lyra
Yeah.
8 by Soma synths. And it sounds kind of like if Ulysses was hearing the sirens. It's got that kind of like whistles in the wind. It's really nice. So
Cool.
that creates kind of like the ethereal layer. And I have some backup drums with the Moog the Fam, the drummer from Another Mother. It gets a little bit eclipsed when played with the Erika Synth Techno system because it just doesn't have quite like the bass that the Erika system has, but it makes really nice accents. Like it gets really funky. I'm using also right here the subharmonicon, and I got that one recently. It's both fascinating and super interesting, and also a little tricky to use. It's using a lot of minor keys, and so you can get into tricky territory with it, but that's what makes it sound interesting too. Let's see what else. In terms of mixers, I have like a Onyx mixer, which is my main one here. I use this smaller Mackie as well for like usually like stage rigs because it's just more compact. And right now these two have like all the machines kind of hooked up to them. And then more recently, I got this performance mixer, which I'm gonna shine a light on. So right here, woo!
Nice.
So this guy is linked up to another modular case back here, and back here I have a bunch of synth voices. I have Frap Tools, Brenzo. I have Deckard's Dream by Black Corporation.
Whoa.
I have the VM1S and BL2 from Schweman, which are like hardcore advanced to use. Like if you sneeze on it, it'll go off the rails. um, and yeah, and so up there, this sort of like left-right double rig is my sort of like initial case that I filled out. You know how you always think that you're done when you fill a case. Well, that was the first time I thought that. And so I was only using a few things from this one. I was using sort of like audio samples, and kind of like atmospheric sounds. And then the final touch was with the Qubit Nebulae and the Make Noise Morphogene. And this was sort of like the theme of this song is I had made a sample for like sort of like a little ode to the fire season and how destructive fire is. And my girlfriend was kind enough to do the vocals for it. And so it's this writing was about like that one day where it was really dark and orange outside, and you wake up in the morning and it's dark and you're like, what the fuck, should I stay in bed? And then you walk outside and it's like, you feel like you're on Mars. And so that was a really weird feeling. I imagine it was weird for others too. And so that's what this song was inspired by.
Very cool. Yeah, that was a strange day for all of us. Yeah, it affected all of us here in the Bay Area. It's very, very scary. But thank you again for walking us through your set. You've got a massive setup, man, and it's
Yeah.
really fun. I love looking at your set. I was you'd posted, I think, something on, I forget, maybe like Instagram or something, where there was a nice picture or something that was of like your whole setup, and I was just googling everything and just going through it, and admiring what you've got on there. And I really appreciate that. Even though you didn't use it tonight, I noticed the red SH101. I've had my SH101 for well over a decade now. I've got the gray one. But
It's my prized possession.
yes.
Yeah, it just doesn't mix with everything. It's its own, like, I think it's a lead, right? It would be like the central piece of another song. I think that's it's hard to have it just as an accent. At least that's how I feel about it. Also, it doesn't have the MIDI inputs,
Right.
and it works well with CV and modular actually, which is pretty cool. But it's a vintage beast, and it has limitations.
Yes. But either way, man, great set. Thank you so much. That was
Thank you.
what a neat setup there, Jordan. Please walk us through your setup. We'd like to know a little bit more about what voices you're using, and I'm really interested to hear more about the drum machine style you set up tonight.
Yeah, so I am actually out of town, so I'm using a very small amount of gear as a result, though I don't think I'd use much more. I'm going to switch cameras so I can point stuff at the gear.
Sure.
Hang on. Okay, now I think you should see this without a weird fisheye lens on it.
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I have two different cases here. I have this case over here, which is doing all the melodic work, and then
Wow.
a smaller case here that's doing drums. Everything I'm doing is improvised. I'm not pre-planning anything or even like pre-programming in any sequences. Everything is just I'm doing it on the fly, and I'm gonna put the camera down so you guys don't get nauseous. But the kind of the idea behind the setup here is the melodic rack. All of the only two there's only two oscillators in it. It's a two mangroves mannequins set up in a as like a complex oscillator, so you only actually hear the output of one of them, and the other one just FMs the second one. Then the it goes into the three sisters, which filters it, and then everything else in the rack is basically control, with the exception of two low pass gates and a 4MS DLD. Um, but more than just like the gear, one of the things that the whole case is like constructed around is the idea that I don't want to ever repatch it. So I never actually pull cables out of this. I don't think I've repatched it in a month or two, which
Oh,
feels really
nice.
good.
Wow.
Yeah, and then on top of it, I want to be able to switch between a Krell patch and like clock without doing anything, like just hitting buttons. So I'm using a antimatter launch codes is just a set of 5 buttons that basically bounce clock and turn it on and off in different directions.
Wow.
So when I'm doing ambient stuff, it's so like for people who don't know what that is, because I'm using jargon, it's when you have a looping envelope that's controlling usually like how loud it is. And then every time the envelope finishes, it outputs a little signal, which then starts it again. And you change the as that's happening and it's looping, you're changing the duration of the decay on it. So it's getting like the notes are shorter or longer, and I'm playing it by hand as well. But the idea is hopefully out of the drum case, which is almost entirely it's like 50% Bastel instrument stuff. So it's like all just like noise and filters. It's like a kind of wanted to sound kind of like a Korg mini pops from like this early 70s. Like that's why it's pretty lo-fi as a result. Like it's not trying to be a like banging house or techno thing. But I can take the clock out from this, put it into the melodic rack. So then when my loops start to like slowly become order. And then when I want to get off something I've hit, like I'm like, all right, let's do 90 BPM and do a little jam there. Then go into the transition, I just unsync everything, and then I sync it again. I have to admit, I have repatched my drum case recently, and that doesn't feel great. So I'm trying to like just play a lot and not patch, which sounds weird, but it makes it like feel like an instrument more than like something I'd use in the studio. Because like I think creating patches is great, and you should do it if you have a modular. But like I'm trying to like do something like this, so I can't really pull out cables in the middle of the show. So a lot of the modules are meant to like, can I move signal and control around? Like mentioned that launch codes. Another one that I really like for that is Livestock Electronics Maze. It's just like a matrix mixer. And if you guys don't have a matrix mixer, like it will change your life. It makes your patching, it's awesome. Like all my stereo stuff is done for that. I have it for like for sends and returns as well, and I could just pan it in a lot of different space. So anyway, if you have questions, hit me up on Instagram or whatever. Happy to talk
I have a
gear or
question about
whatever.
your mixer.
Yeah,
Yeah, do you have it here? Can we see it?
I'm not using a mixer. I
Okay,
am. I have. This is my no mixer setup. Basically,
got it.
I originally had set this up so like I could take the drum machine out into the melodic kick rack and then mix it in Euro, but I didn't want to waste the HP and I wanted to like, not kill 6 HP with like a little mixer or whatever. So I just have it's just two stereo outs, the whole thing, and it's in a just goes into my interface sitting under my computer. It's like a little Claret 4 pre or pre 4. I think it's 4 pre. And then I'm dealing with all the mixing in like a DAW. So all I'm doing in the DAW is just like gain staging, and then I send it out to you guys. So it's like compression and stuff. That's about it. Um,
That was,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
that was great, man. Thank you for being in depth, both of you, on your setups tonight. It's very impressive. I'm learning stuff. It's really great. I love hearing about all this stuff. Um, and Yoan, what was your sequencer? I don't remember what sequencer you were using for your setup tonight.
So I'm actually using the Ericasynth Techno sequencer, which is right here. It's the one with the. It's kind of dark, right? So you can't really see it. So let's see. Is that gonna help anything?
Yeah.
It's got
Oh,
like
yes. I recognize it.
it's got the sort of old computer keys organized in a set of 4x4. That main clock is basically just going out in an octopus shape to everything. So it's the driver of the track, and even when the drum is on mute, it's activating everything else. So it's kind of like that's the main sequencer. I recently got a Frap Tools USTA, and that's the oval sequencer, which is hidden somewhere back here. And that thing is really intimidating. I spent a couple hours on it. I wasn't able to get a single sound out, so to be determined.
Very good. Good luck. That's that. That's one of those fun things about Eurorack. Sometimes it takes you a long time to figure out how it actually works.
Yeah,
It's
you
true.
know, you know how they say, read the fucking manual. The thing is, that doesn't always just work out well. You have to like just spend hours and hours, and usually just, I mean, watching videos on YouTube is helpful for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But some people like the screen diving more. I'm definitely a little bit averse to that. I like the no screen diving.
I agree with that. Like, the only thing I have on here with like any real menus is like the PAMs that's driving the drum machine, but I never really touch it in the middle of a
Right.
set.
If it's a simple thing you set up once and then you forget about it,
That's
that
okay.
that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
No, I'm in agreement there.
Yeah.
So, guys, I'd like to ask you about your musical influences. What artists influence your music? Let's start with Jordan.
I listen to like I know it's cheesy or whatever, but I listen to everything. As for like what is influencing what I'm doing, I think, uh, I guess the guy doing stuff now who I like saw live and really made me like aesthetically I really love is this guy Steve Housechild. He used to be the guy. He used to play in a band called Emeralds, but he played Mutech last year, and I had loved him and listened to his records so much. And then he played a live show that was really awesome. He does all of his sequencing in like Max though, and I'm trying to like not use the computer so much. So it's been a challenge to be like, how can I do really complicated arpeggiation with just like I'm using a 16 step sequencer here. So it's like you have to get really creative to make it sound. And I didn't actually even change that sequence for the entirety of the set. It's like I'm doing everything timbrally. So that as for another thing, especially for something like this, is there's a Suzanne Ciani live album that came out a couple years ago, but it's an archive. It's like archival of her playing in like the late '70s on a music easel, and it's like 20 minutes, and it's awesome because she's like really playing it, and it's not a lot of gear, so you really like um, something like that. Like you, because I'm trying not to be locked into a groove at all. Like I'm trying to like move tempo a lot and play with time. Like that's really inspiring to just for her to like start something and play with such a small amount of gear and to like sustain 30 minutes. But I forget what it's called. It's like a brown cover.
I think it's called. One second, I think I have it.
Oh
It's
yeah, it rules.
called Brooklyn Concerts 1975.
That sounds right. It's great. So that's another one. But yeah, I listen to so much stuff, man. I'll give one other one, which is the band Stereolab. I love, but the one of the
Nice.
guys in it, Tim Gain. Yeah, Stereolab rules. But they have a he has a side project called Caverns of Antimatter, which is just three guys all jamming in a room with synths and guitars and drums, and then they edit it down from tape, so it has like a really good live feel, and
Wow.
that rocks. Like that's like whenever I'm doing something that's like kind of like krautrocky, like I'm just thinking of that honestly. But that rules, especially Johan if you like Stereolab. You have like 4 more hours of music to dive into.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
So, and Johan, tell us a bit about what music influences you.
The way I can think of this answering this question is chronologically. Different phases in life had different influences, so I'll just start from the beginning. I think that very young, Depeche Mode was really the most impressive sound and emotion that I can imagine. It really had a strong impression on me. Then FX Twin and the slippery slope that it is to listen to FX Twin. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you would agree that he's kind of in a class of his own, and you can listen to some of his tracks 10 years later and just hear stuff you haven't heard before. So from a music standpoint, it's really interesting to later on like, oh yeah, that's how he did this thing. When you're using like some random tool, you're like, holy crap! It's just like a lifetime of holy crap moments to figure out how he does this shit. And then I really got into stuff like plaid. I love their syncopated rhythms and how they kind of have these melodies that kind of sway, and it's just really really beautiful yet powerful. I also really was into Underworld for a very long time. It kind of seems like a cheesy classic now, but I guess it's one of those things like then it was like a foundation of like what made my heart beat, and so it's hard not to like have a visceral response to it even now, although they're not very good now. Um, but so now the stuff that I really like to listen to, well, I like some like dark wave stuff like Trust and things like that. But the most inspirational would be Colin Benders. He's just nuts, and so like he's sort of like reviving my love for modular. That if I ever have a doubt, I watch one of his videos and I'm just like, yep, I'm doing what I love. So yeah, and then to your point, Jordan, about like being able to like take something to the next level and build upon it. That's something that's difficult for a live performer to, not have the audience start to get bored or whatever, or some songs are good, but they're just so repetitive.
Yeah.
And a person like Colin Benders is so ace with the way that he just like builds up slowly. Like a lot of electronica tries to do that in clubs, but it's just kind of cheapened by some like it's a formula essentially, and he's got such a knowledge and mastery of how to like take it to the next level and essentially just like go stages through stages and blow your mind. So that's pretty much my inspiration. I also really like listening to. Oh, I also really like Actress. Actress is one of my favorites. He's very eloquent with his use of sound, um, and very, very inspirational. He's very mysterious with his sort of choices, and that makes me. It's like a treasure hunt. Like, what is he thinking? So I like that a lot. And then I miss seeing live shows with with local artists where you're like, oh my god, these people rock, or like this guy is talented, or this girl is amazing. That's what I like the most. So I miss places like Gray Area and dive places and all. So this is really great to be a part of this. Thanks so much, Corey.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
welcome, Jordan.
Thanks a lot.
Of course, Jordan. And this is how we're able to keep that alive. We're able to broadcast to people at home, and we get new followers every month, and new people get to experience new music. I'm sure there's some people who go on here who have who have just heard your music for the first time. And hopefully that grows an audience and interest for your music and the genres that we play. And speaking of genres, I would actually like to ask you guys, starting with Jordan, uh, how would you describe your style of music?
I mean, I'm intentionally trying to hit like a lot of different genres. Like that was what I was trying to do. So I think if I'm gonna like pick, I guess you would just say ambient, but like the beginning I was going for like Kamish krautrock style stuff, and then I was trying to do a 90 BPM like when those IDM guys try to do hip hop, which is actually kind of fun because it's like less, it's way more like right on the beat. There's almost no swing.
Mm.
But then what else did I do? I did a hit. Tried to do like kind of a housey minute there with the backing beat. But yeah, I feel like I was actually telling this to Carson, who I think is Carson Sestouli, who's I think played Peaked before. But I was telling him
Yes.
that like I feel like in a lot of rock music, and I'm like a huge nerd when it comes to that stuff. Is a lot of people are like way okay, better or happier to pick things from the past and try to recontextualize them in ways that it's like let's do a lot of different things at once. And I don't really think that happens as much in other genres because especially like rap and electronic because it's so technology dependent. So people are like, well, I want to do the next thing. Like, why am I looking back to the old thing? That's not to say there's no um, I'm not trying to say there's like no nostalgia because there's plenty of nostalgia rave stuff always, but like um, trying to like do lots of recontextualization of different stuff I think is interesting. So I was trying to go for that, try to hit a lot of different points there.
Very good, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Yoan, tell us about how you feel about your style of music. How would you describe your style?
Right. Um, it's an evolving thing, first of all. So sometimes it delves into like the lower regions of like dark ambient experimental, and sometimes it picks up a little speed and gets more kind of energetic. In the more kind of electronic, minimal techno realm. But either one of these is kind of a label that you have something in mind when you hear those descriptions. And I think that the reason I like making music is to touch, if possible, on the boundaries of the outer limits of what those styles are. So I don't know that I like to be doing a music that's categorized, but sometimes you have to just to like present it. Um, but if I could be a part of a certain style and then get the chance to break that up to be something different, then that's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback something Johan said, which was you were saying like the outer reaches of the genre, and I feel like one of the things that's cool about like modular gear and even like non-modular gear that's more modern, it's makes it easier to explore like in between genre spaces, like in a again like in electronic at least, right? Because one of the things you have a lot of control over is timbre. So like you can, it's one thing to go from like BPM and that's techno and then like jack it up 20 BPM to hit do like some breakbeat thing, but like doing that smoothly instead of just like hitting a button and changing pattern is interesting. Like I think that's like something that's you can do with this kind of with the gear rack gear, but any gear that you don't even need it to be physical. Like do it on your computer, man. But like the just building your own stuff, right? Because when you build your own stuff, whether it's you build your own rack or you build your own like VCV rack thing or whatever, you you have a lot of control of what's happening inside of it, as opposed to just being like here's an 808 kick or like an 808 snare.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that all of us who play Eurorack really admire is that you're really building a custom synth. Even
Right.
you're taking sounds from different companies and putting them together and choosing what you want to do with it.
And you get to find your voice too, which is really nice because you might have an inspiration or something in mind, and as you're experimenting with it, you might realize, okay, well, I'm over this, and what do I want to do? You might go in a completely different direction, and that's what's fun about it is you get to explore your musical calling, as opposed to like playing bass and like you just have a bass and it's always the same bass stuff, which could be great, but I'd rather there were more options in life than just one. So modular for me, and for you.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. It's playing Yurok is really a journey that just grows and grows and allows you to evolve in a different way than playing one single instrument. You're able to explore all these different places, and it's to me it really becomes a meditative experience when you can get into those grooves, even if you're not playing for anyone, you're just playing for yourself. You're just playing around and exploring and experimenting and finding new things you can do with what you've put together that you may not know is possible.
I love that, and I think to add to what you just said right there, there's I think the like most happiest musical moments in my life are when I'm just lost in the zone, and I'm just tweaking something very slightly, and I am no longer really there. I've gone somewhere else in the music realm, and those little changes have taken me into the music realm, and that's where like pure happiness happens.
Yes.
And then like the phone rings or something. You're like, oh shit, yeah, okay, I'm out. Uh,
I think we've all had those moments.
yeah,
You
they're
better be
rare.
recording. You got to hit record every time you're going to play then because the phone rings and then you come back and you're like, just like something is like slightly different and it's driving me nuts.
And it's why it's so hard when you like trying to replicate something that worked out so well. Minutes later, it just doesn't work because you're in that zone, and that it's not a replic. You can't copy that really.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Definitely. And one of the questions that popped up, Jordan, we'd like to hear a little bit about how do you go about doing a mobile setup.
Oh, like battery powered, not like carry,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, so I have a bunch of YouTube videos where I hike to places with a synth on my back. In those, the synth I'm using is a Kilpatrick Phenol. Um, and actually, the reason why I started doing those was like I was feeling like I had too many options when I was like playing with my gear in my room, which actually led me to be like, try to do something with just these two things. But so I was like, all right, well, if I have to hike to this place, I'm going to be sweaty, endorphins going, and I'm probably with someone, and they're going to be pissed off if I have to take more than 30 minutes to make it. So it's like go time. You got to do it. But so what I would do you can power most of these things with like a mobile battery. If it's a Eurorack rig, it needs to be bigger. It can't be like a USB for the most part. You have to get like a camping battery. But what you do is you can go and buy like it's a USB to DC step up converter. I know that's a lot of words, but it's basically just taking USB power and converting it to like those DC, like a DC barrel jack. So it goes from like the 5 volts in the USB into whatever voltage like your case needs. There's a little bit of math involved, but it's not too complicated. Basically, it's just like a ratio. So you have to be a little careful because if you give your synths too little amperage, it can break. Um, so you got to do your math and be a little confident that like you when you step up from like 5 volts say to I think if I did one of these cases I think it's like 15 or something that like the battery can deliver the right amount of amps to it. You're probably not going to break anything, but like it is possible, so don't hold me responsible. But yeah, there are some people, there are places that make like USB to DC step up converters like specifically for this. And then there's also like cheap crap you could buy on like anywhere on Amazon or eBay or whatever. I think you're probably better off getting. Corey, you posted a company that had some really nice ones. Do you remember what the name of the company was?
Oh man, Ripcord was it?
Yeah, I think it was Ripcord. I haven't used theirs in particular, but it is one of the ones I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this with with more gear, keep doing it. I was gonna get a nicer one because I'm using like some real janky ones at the moment. Makes me a little
Mhm.
nervous. Um, but yeah, it's doable. It took a lot of research. There's like weirdly not a lot of information on it, but I have gotten that question a lot, so I feel like maybe I should just like put up a website or something that explains how to do it. But again, just hit me up on Instagram if you're like don't know. Oh, someone Fetz says in the chat that my volts works too. But
My volts. Okay.
yeah, shoot me
Cool.
just shoot me a DM or something, and I could help you figure out which one will work for the synth
No,
you have.
I think Fetz is right about that. I think Ripcord is made by My Volts.
Ripcord's is like the model, and my
Yeah,
volts is the
yeah,
brand. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
That sounds about right. And they have different amps for you know, you've got 5s and 12s you can get
Right.
for DC power, which is really useful.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You have to really read the specs on the battery because like the batteries don't necessarily like won't just deliver the power like the right amperage you need. So like you might be like, well, I can step up to 12 volts, it's fine, but then the battery doesn't deliver enough power, and then like some components in your synth, they're like, I expect that level of power. So if you give them half as much, and look, I've made this mistake before and I haven't broken things, but I actually have emailed with what's the guy's name? I forget his first name, but the Kilpatrick. I feel like his name is. I don't want to butcher it, but the guy who is the guy that makes all the Kilpatrick audio stuff,
Can we just
and
call him
he gave me.
Patrick?
What's his name? What's his first name?
Let's just call him Patrick.
Just call him Patrick. I feel like it's Andrew, but man, I feel bad. But he sent me an email that like was saying that he doesn't think it should break anything in the synth, but he's like, I could see it mess stuff up. It was Andrew. Okay, someone in the chat says it's Andrew. Oh, I feel better that I got it right because I didn't want to. I felt really bad because it's very nice. But honestly, I've emailed people like case makers and stuff. They respond super fast. So if you don't know, just like email people because people are really nice. They'll respond, man.
How do you like that fennel? It's got the banana plugs, right?
Yeah, so actually, the phenol is the reason why I built this case.
Yep.
Because something the phenol does, I had it for like a couple months, and I'm like, I'm not driving with this. I don't get it. But the thing I didn't understand is that it has a clock divider and it has an LFO on it, right? And what it wants you to do, design-wise, is take your sine wave LFO, put it into your clock divider, and let your clock divider act as a comparator, and then like give you clock, right? So now your LFO is the clock, but it's not. You would think like you need a square LFO, but you just it turns it into a square wave, so that works. And I was really enjoying like, oh, let's mess around with time because it's like there's not that many knobs on the thing, right?
So
Like,
so is it Buchla inspired? Is that why it's so like loose?
yeah, I think it. I guess you could. I mean, I think it's somewhere in between Buchla and like Surge, where like Buchla would never, I think, have you stick an LFO into a clock divider and be like, "That's your clock, buddy." I mean, I don't think so. I haven't played that much Buchla stuff, but like the Surge stuff is like extremely trying to get you to like get creative with your patching. But it's cool. Like and the envelopes on it I think are actually like very specifically a Surge thing where you can go from like an envelope that's smooth to one that's stepped, and as you turn the knob it gives you less and less steps, but they're not that expensive. You can get them pretty cheap used, and they're pretty fun. So if you need to get creative, that'll like really make you learn how to patch a thing with not a lot of stuff on it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for going through that, man. There's I got very in depth on some tech, and that's
Yeah.
something I need to learn a bit more about. That was really fun to learn more about. Thank you. That was
Yeah,
really
no
great.
worries.
And tell us a little bit about, besides the power source, how do you go about choosing what you want to use in terms of music? Like what modules are are the keys to doing a setup like that you're going to go on a hike for?
Yeah. So my advice for modules is build like a third of a case, keep a notebook next to your case, and then every time you're like, shit, I wish I had X, like write it down and just keep writing stuff down for like a month. And then like you're gonna see the same things over and over and over again, then go buy a module. Because if you start with that thing looks cool, then you're gonna like end up buying and selling a bunch of stuff. Like start with form. So I would say like if you were like, Jordan, you have 60 HP. Yeah, someone says 12 distings. There's not a lot of control on a disting. So, like, if you want to play it and wiggle it, like, you're SOL. But it's good to have one around in case you need to patch something that you don't have. I will say, rather than a disting, if you guys, I absolutely love the mutable instrument stages because it's like just a ton of utilities in it. And so, like, if you were gonna say, Jordan, you have 60 HP and you want to go on a hike, what are you gonna use? Um, a clock source, oscillator, filter of some sort, or something that's just going to change timbre. Maybe a VCA or a low pass gate. Then the stages probably, because if you need you get creative with that. I'm using my stages in my rack right now as two switches, an LFO, and a slew generator. So you can use it for whatever. Someone asked if I had tried the new Stages firmware. I have not, but I don't use it as a sequencer. The new Stages firmware lets you quantize your outputs, which is cool as hell. Though I'm not gonna lie. If I wanted one thing on the Stages, I have two things I want on it so bad, which is CV control over curve, because you don't get CV control over the curve on the envelopes. And I want this for all modules. I want to put my modules in upside down. So if something needs to work right to left and I flip it, it's going to make me pissed and it's going to make me angry. So I really want to be able to go into the firmware and just flip the orientation of the stages because it has y-axis y-axis symmetry. It's symmetrical that way. So it should be able to work in either direction, but if you map it upside down, it's going to run left to right it's going to run right to left instead of left to right, right? And that's just annoying for me. One company that's really good at that is generally Noise Engineering, really cares about you touching their stuff. So they'll be like, you want to rack it either direction? We got you. They seem to think about that quite a bit. Some of their modules have labels that are reversed, which rules. So that's my hobby horse. My hobby horse is if you make modules and you're listening to this, make sure you could play them in both directions. It's awesome. It would rule if I could flip it around. I want to be able to, whatever. But that's just me.
Well, I know
my pet peeve.
I know Evan's listening, so what do you think about that, Evan? Let us know.
Yeah, Evan, dude, make X and Y axis symmetry. I want to go left to right and up and down any direction, and it worked the same.
Yeah. And let's plug in real quick anyway. New musical instruments, I think it was called. Is that your company, Evan? I always forget. Brand new, just came out. You've got one module on your site, and I haven't even tested it yet. He's got some YouTube tutorials to check out for his new instrument systems. Sorry, that's right. Check his stuff out, man. He's just on the new scene for putting out modules. I know he's got some great ideas coming up as well. So, and we're all looking forward to seeing what comes out. It's really
Sounds
exciting.
Good. Maybe we can get a link to his sites on here. That'd be cool to check it out.
Sure. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure we can find some. I'm sure I could find it for you guys.
Evan's also answered random electronics questions I've had quite a bit, so
Yes.
go buy his stuff. Just pay him back for just the unpaid labor he gave me for just random things. Yeah, random questions I had.
Nice.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for doing this tonight. Are there any notes you have that we haven't discussed that you would like to mention from tonight's performance? How was there any type of meditative space you had to get into or practicing for the setup for tonight? Actually, Jordan, I know you said you improvise everything, but
yeah, I mean that's a lot of practice then, right? That's all I'm doing is I've been trying to play every day for a couple of months now, and obviously you can't some things get in the way, but just the goal, then recording it and listening it back, I think is good. That's what I've been trying to do, but no one's perfect, so I just try to do my best with that.
Yo, and how about yourself? Did you work on preparing for tonight?
I did. It's a piece that was kind of in the making, but not quite complete or finished. And in the last week, I kind of refined it, went over it, and I actually really cleaned up my system and kind of labeled a bunch of stuff. and kind of rewired everything and then redid that again.
Oh,
And
man.
I feel like I live in that system now. I'm much more aware of it. So that it was a good experience to kind of not just prepare for it, but also just kind of go like uh, real deep into it. Um,
Yeah, and how are you labeling stuff?
so hang on one second.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Never really.
this is something like I try to use tape to do it. Yeah, I got one of those too. I think we're using the same exact move here.
I highly recommend getting some of these
Yeah.
guys. They're really cool. So like the quarter inch are still kind of big, but the eighth of an inch ones, I mean, they're pretty genius. Uh,
And they capture the
so
light.
yeah, we do. So in a low light environment, that's pretty helpful. And you can choose like red go and then yellow next and then blue's
Hmm.
the weird stuff you might want to watch out for, but you definitely want to hit that too. So it's you can choose your system or you can match the coordination of your cable colors. That's helping me a lot. But that's just a hack. If you have really good memory and you know everything so well, you don't need that.
Dude, I've been playing my system for like I'm not patching it. I still forget what buttons do. So like I try to tape stuff in the same way, but like muscle memory is the only way to do it, and I don't feel like I'm there, man. So
So
uh,
muscle memory is absolutely the way to do it. The only problem is that when you have 10,000 variables that get changed
yes,
every
no,
time,
100%.
it's not the same thing every time. So it's a little bit like the breadcrumbs in the fairy tale. Just like leave the crumbs behind, and like you're like, oh shoot, I'm lost. I ran out of crumbs. Oh well, I'll improvise.
No, I feel this exactly the same way. I mean, like I'm trying to do it the muscle memory, but it's just like, man, you just forget like, oh, because I like you patch something up, so I click a thing and it should do X, and I'm like, oh, was that button 3 or 4? I should have written this down. So I feel you. Tape is your friend, I think.
Either that or anything else that might help you. Like for instance, if there's a patch that kind of changes a bunch of other variables, like one cable. Like usually, I try to make that one bright, so it's obvious to find like the culprit,
Yeah.
and so that kind of visual contrast helps. Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Excellent. Muscle memory, good idea. I like it.
That's like if you're lucky. It's like that's what we aspire for, but like it's not like playing a guitar. Like you don't know things. They shift a little faster, right?
They do. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, no. It's about a little after 8:30, about 8:37 right now. So, Yoan and Jordan, I want to say thank you again for playing Piqued number 15. You guys really made it special for us tonight. A lot of us had some fun listening to your music tonight. Everyone was jamming at home. I've got my monitors right here, and the bass came out really, really great. The panning, Jordan, you did was really fun. I'm really impressed with that, man. And your set was really wonderful, man. It had a lot of
Thank you.
strong energy to it.
Yeah,
There's
nice job, Yon.
and
I
you
really
really
enjoyed it
some
too.
great ambience on the lyra. It was really fabulous to listen to.
And
So,
thanks to everyone who tuned in tonight.
Yeah, thanks to the people who watched.
yeah, we had some new people show up today. I know our friends Don and Dave showed up tonight. Which, hey guys, thanks for showing up tonight. Great to see you. Miss you. It's been a long time since I've seen you guys. And it was again like there's more new people who showed up tonight on the stream, asking some questions or just hanging out and enjoying it. Craig Z showed up tonight, which is really great to see him. He played Resonant Frequencies at the beginning of the month, and we're all looking forward to hearing Resonant Frequencies again in March, since they're gonna. I'm sorry, in April. I keep on messing up the months. January, because they're gonna do quarterly now,
Hmm.
and we're gonna have. And we're all looking forward to Resident next month as well, which will be always a good time. They're always gonna be streaming. And what are some other shows coming up? I can't remember all the names of everything, but there's some
I
great.
think you nailed a lot.
Yeah.
You nailed the ones I know.
Oh, and if all goes to plan, next month for November, Pete 16, we will be having tentatively, I should say, we should be featuring TL33 and Model Plane, which should be a very interesting show for November.
Oh, Fett says he wants you to plug Sonic Sundays too, third Sunday of every month.
Fat, love you, man.
it's,
Sonic
it's
Sundays. Hit him up on Twitch. It's a FETZ. Fets, you got a link? Throw us a link there, man. Please do. We love you. Oh, there he is. All right. Wonderful. He's always got some good stuff. I know he had Shabalba on recently, and she played Piqued a couple months ago, and that was fantastic. I know she's got some new fans for that. That was really fun. So, Yon and Jordan, are there any upcoming releases you guys have, or any other shows you're going to be doing online anytime soon we could plug for you?
nothing to plug for me, but just you can find me online. I'm at Jordan Michael Francis on Instagram and YouTube. And like, don't be shy if you have like you want to shoot the shit about music or whatever. Just send me a message.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be recording. I have a lot of time on my hands right now, which is both a blessing and a terrible thing. But you can find some of my stuff on at YoRes, YO.RES on Instagram. I have some stuff in the, in the Instagram TV there. Still working on having decent stuff for SoundCloud. I'm just never satisfied with what I record. So
Yeah, same man. I feel you.
but yeah, that's it. Just thank you so much for checking us out, and looking forward to hear what's next on Piqued 16.
Actually, one other thing I could plug.
Yeah.
I do the sound on my friends' cooking YouTube videos. They're really fun, and we get really weird with the sounds, honestly, because like, why not? It's fun. It's Radicchio salad.
Yeah, where he whispers.
Excuse me?
I think I saw one of those where he was whispering.
Oh yeah, he does ASMR when he eats sushi. Yeah, we do a lot with sound. It's fun. So yeah, if you guys like food and you want to see some funny like food, I guess you'd call it commentary, because he's cooking sometimes, but he's also doing a lot of like restaurants and talking about the kinds of food. But yeah, check that out too. It's Radicchio salad on YouTube.
Very cool. Yeah, throw a link up there when you get a chance, Jordan. That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll do.
So everyone, I'd like to say thank you again for Particle Fields, Jordan Michael Francis. This has been Piqued. I'm Corey Luna. And of course, AV control is done by Rich Hogben. We can't do without him. And thanks again to this music community for keeping going even during quarantine. It's really a pleasure to be able to continue to put on this wonderful event on a monthly basis, even though we took a few months off to kind of gather our things. We're now using Restream. Over the past couple months, we were trying out Stage 10, and some good things are happening with Restream a little differently, and we might change it up. But I think we're going to stay on with Restream for a little while. We've got some neat tricks out of the box, which is a little different. But who knows? Things might change. But again, everyone, thanks again for tuning in. This has been Piqued. You all have a safe night, and we'll see you next month. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jan. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.